All right. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Dad's Turn to Talk. I am your moderator tonight, Josh, and we have a full house. Going to be a very fun evening. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We also timestamp. And so if there's a particular topic you want to get to quickly, you can do so. But let's go ahead and tonight and go ahead and introduce our special guests first, because frankly, they're more important than the other two jabronis on this show. First of all, ladies first, Gazelle is back with us to discuss some NBA playoffs. Gazelle, how are you?
I'm good. I thought you were going to start with Derek when you said ladies first. But,
Oh, I should have. I don't think that fast, apparently. I'm old now, so I'm glad we're glad you're on it. Welcome. And then our next guest, oh my God, I've known him for too long, and he's the only guy who really can't stand the Los Angeles Clippers, which I still can't figure out. And in fact, he talks a lot to us about the Lakers, his favorite team. But when the Lakers lost, I asked him, I said, what happens if the Clippers make the playoffs? I make the finals. He said, I'm moving. My wife doesn't know yet. So
only if they win. If they win a championship, I can't live in the city. So when they lost, I came home. I said to the kids, we got another year here in LA at least.
Oh, God. Who would have thought?
Pack the boxes. We're good.
But anyway, we have the best talent agent for kids in all of the U.S., Jeremy Apodi. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. I do have to say, though, I did not realize that Michael Jordan was now in the opening credits. I think I might have to think twice about and might have to leave this thing, all right?
Call me when LeBron has 6 championships.
Is that your only argument?
It's the only argument I need, Sean!
That was really good timing.
Thank you for setting that one up, Jeremy. I was trying to wait to find a place to put that. But you set it up perfectly for me.
That was really good timing. All right. Well, speaking of the Jared, thanks for coming on. But speaking of the prankster, Bobo, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. I was talking with my pastor tonight at church, and he was talking about last week's show. I was like, "Oh, great, he watches!" So
oh God, he watches. That was
pretty cool. So, he was. He really enjoyed the discussion on the NBA or the NFL draft. So that was pretty cool. And so I told him tonight we're talking about the playoffs. So, Brother Marner, hopefully you'll enjoy this show as well. So,
wow, that is very cool. All right, and then our final gentleman here tonight, ladies last, I guess, Mr. Derek Tandro. What's up, Derrico? How are you?
Too late with the joke. You're too late.
I know. I didn't think.
I didn't tell my rabbi about this podcast yet. But
yesterday, I saw him. I ran into him. I should have said to watch.
That pastor of yours better watch his viewing around here.
Are you sure you want him watching this? That's like, I don't know if that's good or not.
Anyways, doing well, other than that. So
all right.
I'm excited to talk about this first topic for sure. And then we got some good stuff for later on.
Awesome. All right. Well, Bobo, let's start with topic number 1. All right. Well, as you all know, we're in the middle of the heated NBA playoffs, and we're right now in the Western Conference and Eastern Conference semifinals. just got through with the first round, and I'm looking at my phone and looking at this Oklahoma City score against Denver, 119-76, 44 seconds left in the third.
Wow.
So we might be getting some a new record here. I don't even know what the old record is, but pretty crazy. Why don't we just real quick? I'll just run through what teams are in right now, and of course, Jeremy and Gazelle, you're our experts. So you can definitely take the reign once I'm done with this. But so
Well, let
far,
me just start out by saying I considered putting slightly bummed out in front of the Dub Nation today. We got to pour one out for Steph Curry's hamstring because
out for a week.
He's a nice dude. He's never had that kind of injury, regardless of how you feel about the Warriors. That sucks because he's fun to watch.
Bummer.
Yeah.
And so that's a bummer. And that's all.
You still got Buddy Hield.
That's all I have to say about that.
Buddy Hield is Steph, reincarnated right now.
Buttered.
Yep.
That is funny. So, okay. All right. So just these semifinal matchups, we have obviously Nuggets and Thunder, Pacers, Cavaliers, Warriors, Timberwolves, Knicks, Celtics, and did I get them all? Cavaliers, Pacers, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So why don't we go around the room? Maybe just talk about how we think it's going so far. Jeremy and Gazelle, we were probably going to say who we thought would get to the Western and Eastern Conference Finals, and then who we maybe think will get to the championship game, and maybe who will win it all. Anyway, Gazelle, let's start with you. What do you think so far?
What don't I think so far, Josh? I actually, I want to say I started to say it earlier. As much as I would love to just dive into talking about my favorite team, I have to acknowledge some of the crazy moments that have happened in all around.
Right.
We were saying, like, they said something about how going into this, the ratings for the NBA were really, down, and now it's like the highest rated playoffs of all time because somehow they've just managed to have these crazy moments, close games, lots of tussles, from Detroit and New York to now New York and the Celtics. The last two games there have been crazy. Halliburton, I'm sorry, please tell me y'all recognize that Major League 2 reference that he did with the marbles.
Yes.
If you got the gif, you know what I'm talking about.
Marbles.
The marbles. I the whole thing was just like chef's kiss. So they've all been incredibly entertaining. So I want to just hear what Jeremy's thought. It was just like, now, especially with the Lakers kind of going up when they did, there was plenty more to watch after that, and there's been a lot to watch if you're a basketball fan. So regardless of your team.
It was fitting that the first clip, I believe, was a layup against the Lakers that you put in there, Bobby. Fitting. No, it has been an incredible playoffs. We're seeing kind of a changing of kind of the old guard. I mean, you look and LeBron, Kawhi, AD didn't even make the playoffs. A lot of the kind of the old guard is kind of out, and we've seen a lot of the new blood, the new kind of faces of the league step forward, and it has been incredible. The physicality is just something to watch. I mean, what they're doing, they're letting them play. There's elbows, there's flagrants, there's fouls, and I think the NBA needs to do that. I mean, sometimes paradigm shift, and obviously it's been the 3-point shot, it's been the spacing and everything, but part of it is going back to the 80s, 90s, the physicality, and I think a good mix of that can bring some fans back into action and watch. As far as the X and O's of these games, I mean, the Pacers are a legit threat now in the East. I mean, they got a squad, and with Cleveland missing Garland and Mobley being out and DeAndre Hunter being out, they're in trouble. And the Pacers, I heard a stat that for the last 50 games, them and Cleveland were about even in the regular season. And the thing that the Pacers are doing now is they're playing defense, and they're actually, stopping and getting stops, and they have the offense to handle it. So I think they're legit. I do. And I think New York, I mean, look, you 2 20-point comeback wins. You can't ignore it anymore. I mean, there's no denying it. And, what Boston is doing with, relying so heavily on the 3-point shot. What's the saying, guys? I mean, you live by the 3, you die by the 3, right? I mean, it's a normal thing. I mean, look, the 3-point shot, I coach my son's 13U travel team. And I mean, it's spread down. The Steph Curry thing is spread down for every level. I mean, these kids are popping 3-pointers left and right. That's all you see now. They'll literally come down the court and they'll go inside and then go back out for the 3. So with that, I think there's been a lot more variance with the 3-point shot. So now we're seeing those games where there's 50-point blowouts because one team is so hot from 3 and one team is not. So I think that's part of seeing some of these blowout 40-point wins and stuff. But it's also the 3-point shot has allowed teams to get back into it. So if you're down 20, you can make up with that with your team hitting threes and the other team not hitting threes. So I think the Knicks now obviously are on everybody's radar. And then in the West, Denver, kind of fizzled out towards the regular season end, but they have looked the part in the playoffs. Aaron Gordon has been hugely clutch. I mean, 2 huge game-winning shots. So I think it's really, I think that series goes 7. I really do. I think the OKC Denver series goes 7. And then, Minnesota, Golden State, it's all obviously, a total changing point now with Steph being out.
Well, I mean, regarding the Knicks, I think that the thing that should be the takeaway, I mean, the fact that they've been able to come back from these deficits, they're clearly a team that you need to be afraid of. That's in terms of the clutch moments and those last 2 to 3 to 5 minutes when they really can explode and come back and win it all when teams are starting to get sort of tired or rely on a particular shot that's still not working or run the same plays or whatever it is. Like they're just, besides Brunson, they're just in the clutch moments. They've been able to not only have their shots drop, but also play the defense and get the offense going at exactly the right moments to really close out a game. So I think I would not feel safe even being up 15 or 20 against the Knicks if I was playing and everything was going great. Like they're a legit, like what I don't even know how to say, like a threat that will not, will always persist and will not give up, like no matter what.
And they're healthy this year, right?
What is it?
They're healthy this year, right?
And they're healthy.
That was their big problem last year, is that they
was a big problem last year.
They were falling like flies last year.
Like, 3 of them like went out and won one game. It was pretty nuts.
I mean, and to what Jeremy said, I think potentially I don't see the Denver going to 7 for that reason. I think they have such a solid 4 or really 5, but 4 that they're relying on, that if any one of them goes down, like it, or has any sort of situation, it feels like they've set up a very precarious team that can only get past maybe the first round, maybe into the second round, but is not a championship contender this year. No matter what, like they just don't have the depth.
And one of the things with the Knicks, I mean, like you said, it's a good point. Brunson's obviously been so clutch, but they also got the defense with Hart, Anunoby, and Bridges. Right. They're solid.
They have the depth
one
this
of the
year.
things,
they didn't have the depth.
one of the things, if you noticed, the Rockets, they did not have a go-to guy in the clutch. They just did not have a half-court offense at all. And it killed them. They were physical. They were a great young defensive team. They were a great story all season, but when it came down to it, they couldn't score in the half court. I have to mention my Lakers real quick. Even the Lakers, it was like it was the defense. And if I had to see one more offensive rebound they allow, and I'll never forget when we traded for Mark Williams, the trade got rescinded. Well, I guess we got to go with Jackson Hayes as our starting center. And I was like, well, it's small ball. We can last without it. We can do it. They got exposed for not having a center, for not having a big guy. And Rudy Gobert looked like Wilt Chamberlain in that last game. So, that's what happened. So these teams that can legitimately get stops, but also in the clutch have an offensive go-to guy, those are the teams that I think are going to
those
succeed.
are the ones that are going to persist. And regarding the Warriors, which I have lots of thoughts about the Rockets one, but there's not enough time here. But regarding this particular series, like, obviously I'm nervous that the conversation I'm having today is very different than the one I would have had, earlier yesterday. Right. So like everything changed overnight. But one thing I will say is that playoff Jimmy is still playoff Jimmy. And he has gotten teams past round 2 when everybody had counted them out. Miami Heat, the last few seasons that he was there, went further than anybody anticipated because of playoff Jimmy, which is why he has that name. So I feel like, as much as this talk of the Batman and Robin and the Alfred and what have you, like the in the end, you're talking about Jimmy Butler, a clutch player, Draymond Green with all his championship experience and playoff experience and basketball IQ. And if he can be consistent, Buddy Hield, which I sincerely hope he can be, the ones that need to step up that have been having, Peyton's had good games. Pat Spencer's hook shot was a thing of beauty, but the two that need to really step it up if we want to get past this round and take advantage of all these failures that that Minnesota seems to be having internally, with having their coach throw their star player under the bus at a press conference, which is one of the most unusual things I've ever seen a coach do during a playoff run. But like you have, what is it?
Yeah, I think it's an echo. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that it's Kuminga and it's Moody, and those two need to step up and play their role. As you were saying, Jeremy, I'd like to see Kuminga knock it off with the long threes and these. He needs to go and focus on points in the paint, because that's where he can be effective. So I hope beyond hope that
I think he lost. I think broke his confidence. I think he's a little lost out there. Yeah,
he's very lost out there, and I think that I'm hoping that the short time they have with him having to play a role. Are you saying Kuminga did or Moody did? Because it seems like
Kuminga looks a little lost.
It sort of seems like they both did.
Yeah,
like Moody is just gone cold. So Buddy has stepped up for that, but I don't know if it will last, because he's had hot spells before and then gone cold a little bit. So
yeah. Let me ask you this. Let me ask Derek. I can ask Derek, because we talked Golden State. Do you think without Curry that Butler and Green can carry that team until Curry gets back? Unless, I don't know, when's if there's a game 7, is that next week? Green's having a good.
I don't think Curry comes back this round.
He's not yet. I
think he's coming back.
The Warriors have to beat the Timberwolves without Curry there. That's what this is going to come down to.
Okay. I mean, you have Jimmy Butler. I mean,
yes, that's true. We do. This is going to be much more difficult now. It's going to be 3 times as difficult than whatever we thought before. And I understand, like, we had a great defensive game last night. We really did. That's also because the Minnesota played like garbage.
They played like garbage. Admittedly, they played like garbage. But you never.
I was like, now you play like garbage. Really?
Yeah.
Where were all those missed shots a week ago?
Good Lord. Well,
Sorry,
I mean,
Charlie.
LeBron couldn't even make it to the Met Gala. He's hurt.
I got to tell you guys, funny story. After the Lakers lost, I texted Apodi and I said, "What do you think about LeBron?" And what does Apodi say? This happens every year with him.
Yeah, he'll be back. He's got to play with Bryce in 2 years, so he'll be back. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. All right, Babo, what about you? What do you think about all of this? You've been very quiet, which has been very nice. I just got to say.
Shut up. There has been a
Since
lot
Josh
of.
is the moderator, does that mean he can't get kicked out?
Oh no,
he
I can
get-
kick him out.
Oh, I
whenever
can get
want.
kicked out. I can get kicked out.
No, there's been a lot of mayhem in this playoffs, starting with the Lakers.
You bunch of losers!
Brutal.
So I'll be honest. I thought the Lakers were going to go all the way. I had them going all the way. I just thought with Luka and LeBron that they would find a way to get all the way to the playoff or to the championship. Now, this is LeBron, so it means he would have lost in the championship most likely. But I did think that they were going to go. I never like to bet against Luka. And LeBron, throughout his career, whether I like him or not, he's always been very clutch, and he's been a great player. I mean, he's on that Mount Rushmore. I mean, I don't like him, but he's still on that Mount Rushmore. So I honestly thought they were going to go. And then to see them lose the way that they did. Now, I don't really think that the Warriors beating the Rockets was an upset, because I think the Warriors were a completely different team once Jimmy Butler came over. And so I didn't even see that as
100%.
as like an upset or anything like that. It didn't surprise me that they won that one. The Knicks have looked really good. You were talking about that earlier, Gazelle. I've been very impressed with the Knicks. I liked the Knicks roster last year, and I think they have a better roster this year. With the addition of Karl Anthony Towns and of course they got Bridges. I mean, this is a team that right now, if I had to pick a team from the East that I think is going to go all the way, they're a very, very strong contender. It's not a fluke that they're up on the Celtics 2-0. Let's put it that way. And to beat them in Boston both games. So that's not a fluke.
That was crazy.
But still, it's shocking because you're talking about the defending champs. The Cavaliers, obviously, it sucks with some of their injuries. And yeah, I agree with you, Jeremy. They're in trouble. I really do think the Pacers are going to win that series. I just don't see with these injuries, unless they get healthy really fast, I just don't see how they can pull it off. And that sucks because I think all year long, they were, to me, even though I think Oklahoma City finished with the best record, I was just most impressed with Cleveland all year.
I mean,
I love
them and
that
OKC
roster.
ran through everybody. I mean, they were, the Cavalanche. I mean, they were going through everybody, them and Thunder. So yeah. But, how many times have we seen this where sometimes these teams that are juggernauts in the regular season, it's almost like they kind of run out of gas, and then in the playoffs, someone comes up and surprises them. It happens all the time,
Yeah.
Hey, Jer, Seattle, remember?
Yeah,
We just talked about it.
I mean, that's kind of what Houston did too. Like they had a great record, they had a great year, but when it came to the playoffs, like I think a lot of teams like they can play, they can go the distance, but once you get to the playoffs, it gets difficult.
Yeah, a lot of times it's not the best team that wins; it's the hottest team that wins.
Yeah.
When you're that young and you don't have that much playoff experience, that will show. It does. And so now Cleveland's a little bit of a different case because they're just hurt. But between Cleveland and Houston, it was very, very clear.
Yeah.
And even last night, Minnesota's still relatively young, and that was the garbage time that you saw last night.
Yeah.
The experience. So,
well, and let me say this, and this is a good point that I think I heard Bill Simmons make. The difference between regular season basketball and playoff basketball, you can't even compare it. I mean, in the regular season, guys are taking nights off. Rarely do the teams play at full strength. You got 2 or 3 stars resting at a time.
Yeah.
They're kind of going through the motions a lot of times, which is honestly why some of the ratings were poor in the regular season. The playoffs, whole different ball game. I mean, it is nonstop intensity, and I think some of these teams that cruise in the regular season, all of a sudden are like, "Whoa, this is a little different," you know. So it's really a lot of the things you look back on matchup wise or anything in the regular season is not going to tell the story of what teams do well come playoff time.
Just to piggyback off of that, Jeremy, you mentioned about how players sit. You look at the Lakers, for example. They said that in one of the games, their entire starters played an entire half. I mean, that's the big difference. Like you said, you see starters getting 42, 43, 44 minutes out of 48. They're not resting like they do in the regular season.
That's what Thibodeau's famous for that. I mean, he plays his starters 40-minute plus, you know. I mean, what JJ Redick did that one game, look, I mean, he's getting a lot of crap for it, and I get it. I mean, to play all 5 an entire half is just not the right call. I get why he did it, but when you have older guys like LeBron and veterans, it's not feasible. But yeah, I mean it's definitely a different ball game. The regular season of basketball, with I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. I had a friend who said, "Hey, I have 6 games. Can you pick one game to take? Because I want to take my son to a basketball. I want to take my son to a Laker game." This was towards the end of the season. 6 games, and I went through the schedule, and literally you have to be strategic and go, okay, well, this is a back-to-back, so a couple of LeBron might rest this one. Oh, this one is towards the end of the season, so they might be out of it, or it might not matter already, so might rest. I had to literally go through it, and what's funny is if one of the games that was on the schedule for me to pick was the Milwaukee Bucks game, I would have been like, oh, Giannis, I'm there. That was the game the Lakers sat there in Reeves, Doncic, and LeBron all in one game. So for the viewing fan, it's one of the things you got one game a year that you go to. You got to make sure that the players are playing.
I mean, that's what you just said, Jeremy, is exactly why Steph just got his first pulled muscle of his career. The fact that they played him 40 some minutes in a 7-game series at age 36, 37, like when you're expected to be putting those kind of minutes in as a starter, I don't think a lot of these guys, the Houston and the Cleveland, with the injuries, that it shows that they're like pooped out by the end. Like they're just not able to put in the minutes that are required as a starter. That is why Jalen Green was inconsistent. That's why, it was that this is where, what do they say? The men separate the men from the boys, or whatever you all say. So I do think that the some of the things that I think I don't think that Redick did anything wrong, because Kerr did the same thing with Curry. So like arguably, those are your best players, and people want to, especially but also like the fact that the fans want to see them on TV. They want to watch this on the playoffs. That's what makes the playoffs have the highest ratings, is that everybody's in at all speed, at top speed, at top conditioning, and you kind of see the best play with the best all the time, the whole time. So, save your money for the playoffs, maybe.
And one last thing. I mean, the Thunder, I know we haven't covered it a lot, but covered them a lot, but I mean, they're a machine. I mean, I know that first game they completely choked away, which, by the way, why are they fouling 90 feet from the basket with 13 seconds left and making it a free throw game when they have a 3-point lead? I mean, it made no sense what they were doing in that first game. They really deserved to lose that game because of it. But that team is so set up for success for so long. I mean, they have 1 million draft picks still, and they have the MVP, and they have just everywhere you look ball hawks, everywhere you look defenders, everywhere you look offensive talent. I mean, that team is going to be a juggernaut for a long time.
Smart leadership. They knew exactly how to rebuild that team. Exactly how to do it. I don't know if I'm sold on them like winning it all, just because I still think that SGA is really like the cream of the crop on that team, and I think the others got a little bit more time before they get to that level. But I mean, it's not like they're gonna be any type of a chump. I mean, if they go up against the Knicks, it wouldn't surprise me in the finals at all. So, we'll see.
Oh, Bob,
I don't want to jinx it, Jay, but
Bob, I think if I remember correctly, that I don't know how long your podcast has been on the air, but I feel like I'm having a deja vu conversation about the playoffs and the Knicks last year.
We did.
We did.
Like, I swear you were like, I'm going to take the Knicks all the way to
you did, right?
We had a very spirited debate about that at the time.
Wait a minute, Bob, did you have the Knicks and Minnesota last year, and I had the Celtics in Minnesota in the finals?
No. I picked Boston to go to the finals, but I did think that the Knicks were going to push into the Eastern Conference Finals. Simply because I liked that roster, and then they all started dropping like flies, and so that changed everything.
That's what it was. That. Yeah, that's what it was.
And I guess that kind of goes back to what Jeremy was saying, about Thibodeau has always played his starters, crazy minutes. Even in the regular season, he plays them crazy minutes. So maybe they're good and conditioned, ready for the playoffs. But on the flip side, you see what happened last year. All of them started dropping like flies. So hopefully that doesn't happen to them this year, because I do think that is a well-built team. And I like the personnel there that, like you said, they can play defense. They got some scorers. This is a team that can push to go all the way. Whether they're going to get over the hump with Boston or not, I mean, the fact that they won the first 2 games in Boston, that is a great thing for them, because they stole the home court advantage. Yeah. And, they only need to win 2, and they got 3 at home. I mean, the advantage is their way. So, I mean, we'll see how they do. But, we were having that same conversation last year.
I mean, I really feel like in my bracket, I didn't have the Knicks going to the Eastern Conference Finals, but now that things have started, I think I would say that Cleveland, I thought, especially during the regular season, they look so good, and I really thought that they would kind of be able to pull it off. Really, the threat to the Knicks was always Boston, and they're like manhandling them. So if that's the case, then I gotta say, like, given what's going on, I just have a hard time thinking that either the Pacers or Cleveland, even though the Pacers look great, given where the Knicks are at, like, I kind of think that they're setting themselves up for a good situation on the East.
See, I think the Pacers and the Knicks go. Sorry, I think the Pacers and the Knicks go 7 if that series happens. I think they go 7. I can't call that one yet. If it's the Pacers and the Knicks, that's I don't know.
So, you know what, guys? Let's go around real quick. Because we're already talking about it. Let's go around and give our prediction for the Eastern Conference Finals. Jared, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Pacers-Knicks at this point. I really do. I don't see how Boston gets out of this 2-0 hole. Now going back to the Garden, it's going to be just raucous and crazy there.
Right.
And I just don't see it. I really don't. Something's up with Porzingis. He's been playing kind of limited minutes. Jaylen Brown doesn't look kind of 100% back from what he was last year with the knee.
Tatum's hand.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Knicks there, and then with the Cavs, as much as the Cavs just absolutely steamrolled teams in the regular season, it's clearly injuries have caught up to them, and I think I think maybe the lights are too big for them right now, and the Pacers are hot. They're a hot team right now. Halliburton is just playing with a ton of confidence. I mean, I saw yesterday TNT put up the stat about him and Gordon are the first 2 players to hit 2 game-winning shots under 40 seconds since, like, my man Robert Horry, like 2002. So, I think Halliburton's playing incredible. Siakam, Miles Turner in the middle is looking good. So I like the Pacers and the Knicks coming out of the East.
Okay, Bubbo, who do you like?
If you had asked me,
Wait. Are we not picking one team out of the East and one team out of the West?
Yeah, we can. We can do it all. I was going to go back.
I want to know who Jeremy would pick between the Pacers.
Yeah, okay.
No,
Well, then I'm gonna piggyback off what Derek said, and if it's gonna be Pacers Knicks, it's gonna go 7 definitely.
Okay.
And I'm going the Pacers. I mean, yeah, if you would have told me this,
really,
a couple months into the season, but I'm gonna. Well, part of it is, let's be real. I can't pick the Celtics, and the Knicks. I don't want a big market team. I want like a mid-level market team. I like the Pacers. A good story. So I'm going to go Pacers out of the East.
We have a friend, Jared, that would really like that pick, by the way.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Very cool. Okay, Bob, go ahead and give us your whole spiel.
If you had asked me before the playoffs started who I thought was going to go, I would have said it would have been the Lakers and the Cavaliers. That's who I just had this feeling that it was going to go that way. Thankfully, the Lakers didn't make it.
Oh,
hey gosh, that's great to hear.
Damn. You don't want to take Jeremy away from our podcast, by the way.
Yeah, right. I come on, and I'm just
you come on, and
yeah.
We are professionals over here. I really did think the Lakers were gonna go, but obviously they didn't get over Minnesota. So looking at it now with all the injuries with Cleveland, I've got to say that I do think Indiana's going to win that series. I just don't see any way Cleveland gets healthy in time to pull off the win. Maybe they can pull off 1 or 2 victories, but I don't think they get what they need here. So I'm going to say Indiana, and I like the Knicks as well. Boston they're just laying eggs. I don't like to hate on Boston because they won me money one year. So they helped win me 10 grand one year. So for that, I never want to talk bad about Boston, but yeah, they don't look too good right now. So I'm going to say the Knicks and Indiana are going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. In the West, even with Curry out.
Hold on, we haven't gotten to the West yet.
Okay, just on the East. Okay, well, all right. If between those two, I like the Knicks.
You like the Knicks?
I think this is the year that Stephen A is finally going to be happy, and
and Spike Lee.
And Spike Lee. So I think the Knicks are going to go to the championship.
All right, Gazelle, let's hear it.
I mean, I for all the same reasons, like we started out saying this, I agree it's going to be Knicks Pacers, and I am going with the Knicks. I'm going with Bob's pick. I think that they have shored up their weak spots that we had this conversation a year ago, and they seem like a deeper team, like a more prepared team, and I actually think that even if the Cleveland was healthy with the way that the Knicks look now, I think they would take the East.
Interesting. Okay.
From the way they played and came through, just the tenacity with the Pistons series too. Like they look good.
So we've got Bob and Gazelle with the Knicks in the finals and Jared with the Pacers in the finals, right? Correct. All right, Derico, let's hear it.
Knicks, Pacers. Yeah, Knicks in 7.
Yeah.
No, wait, no, hold on. I'm not saying that with ultra confidence. I don't think this is going to be. No. If Jerry's right, it would not surprise me at all. Would not surprise me at all. Right. People, you can't underestimate. If they get past Cleveland, they're going to feel like they are kings among peasants.
I feel like they always play the Knicks hard. The Pacers always play the Knicks tough.
Oh yeah.
They got that type of roster that just matches up well with a lot of teams.
Yeah. It's going to be a very serious one for the money. That series is going to be a lot of fun if it happens.
Entertaining.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
I think good TV numbers, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of fun.
Which is what the NBA needs. I'll be honest. I think if Cleveland was healthy, we might have seen them in the Eastern Conference Finals. But because of that, I'm going Knicks and Pacers in the finals. And I'm with you guys, Knicks. I like that team, and they're healthy, like Bob said. Last year, they were, like Bob said, they were dropping like flies, and they struggled against Boston. This year, I think they're in the finals.
Jeremy,
But I kind of agree with Eric. I wouldn't be surprised. He's got a great team.
Jeremy, speaking of making money, you may be able to make some of that Bob Celtics money if you.
I know. We're all
yeah, there you go.
Put it all on the Pacers.
Yeah,
bet the house. Bet the house.
All right, let's go to Western Conference Finals. Let's start with Derek this time. What do you think?
Oh God, don't make me do this. All right. Yes, I know. Yes, I know who I'm going with. I think it will be the Warriors and OKC, and I hope the Warriors get past OKC. So I have to put my mind where my heart is. But gee, if that happens, with the Warriors have to meet OKC, they better have Curry by that point.
Yeah,
they better. Yeah. If they don't, it's done.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment.
So I'll say Warriors because, come on, man.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna bet it's my own team. Come on.
Oh, I know. Warriors Knicks.
I would. I bet against my own team all the time.
I know you have. Yep, you definitely have.
Yeah, but that's why I don't bet, and I'm not good at it.
Yeah, I don't bet.
That's funny. All right, Gazelle.
My heart says one thing, but my brain tells me another. So.
We already know who Gazelle's picking. Golden State.
Well, I mean, I agree with Derek. I had, in my bracket, I had a rematch of the Warriors versus Cleveland because that's just a good story. Like, for all the reasons. I was like, oh, Cleveland, was looking real good. And also, like, I could see them. I don't like Boston, so I could see them beating Boston. And I really did think that Boston was going to give the Knicks. I thought the Boston and Knicks series would go 7, and that it would prior to everything that's happened. I thought it would be Cleveland over Boston, and I think that the Warriors will take this round. I think that they will, if Steph is back, they could go past OKC, and I'm never going to bet against my own team, obviously, but I mean, I also just admittedly, I think that everyone has been nervous about the Warriors since Jimmy Butler joined, because you're talking about what we've seen. I mean, Jimmy, Steph, and Draymond, and then add the other pieces of the bench, and the strength in numbers is back, and they've looked dangerous to people. That's why Jimmy has been working out. We know that that this is the year that we could do it again and make it 5. I really did think about 2 weeks, 3 weeks after Jimmy joined, I started to wonder whether my office on Market Street was on the championship parade route. Like, for real. Like, I think I texted Derek and was like, I'm feeling highly confident. Now, I'm feeling a little less confident, and we need Wardell, and in Wardell I trust. So let's hope that he comes back, and that it is the series that I want to see of OKC versus the Dubs, and the Dubs take it. So
got it. Okay, so Dubs Knicks. Okay, Bobo. What I think now I think the next Bob, Jeremy, and I think it's going to be different than you guys. But let's see, Bob.
Well, Derek, Gazelle, here's another perspective. And, since you all won't bet against your team, I will. I was waiting
for it. I was waiting, Bob.
Yeah.
I was thinking that, despite Curry being out, that they would still be competitive. And I do think they are going to be competitive because, like you said, playoff Jimmy. I mean,
Right.
I don't see these games not being competitive. However, I now think that it's time for Anthony Edwards to do his thing. I think he steps up, and I think the Timberwolves win that series. In the other series between OKC and Denver,
Right.
OKC laid it all out on the floor tonight, and that's why Denver is going to rebound in game 3, and they are going to set the tone. Denver is going to upset OKC, and we're going to get a Minnesota-Denver series. And I actually like I like Minnesota to get to the finals. I think Edwards is the real deal, and everybody's scowling and laughing. But you wait and see.
I'm not.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm laughing
No.
because you and I think alike.
So no, that I just think that I like Denver's their playoff experience, and I think that's going to carry them in some of these games against OKC, and I think they're going to pull that off. And then I think Anthony Edwards is the real deal. So I think they beat Denver in the conference finals. And so we're looking at, for me anyway, we're looking at the Knicks and Minnesota. Truly, like you said, Jeremy, a changing of the guard.
Okay, go ahead, Jer.
Well, I agree on the Minnesota take. I think they're the real deal. Sorry, guys. I know about your Warriors, but I think, had Steph been healthy, this would be a different conversation. But with Steph probably out for the series, I can't go against Minnesota now. Besides the fact that they, looked amazing against my Lakers. They are a really good team. Top 10 in defense, top 10 in offense. All right. Edwards is a superstar. I think they finally got the Randall piece going. I think at the start of the season, the trade really threw them off. They weren't right, but they were surging towards the end of the season. And I think with Randall now knowing his role, and then, McDaniel's defense, DiVincenzo off the bench, giving them great minutes, I see them coming out against the Warriors. And then the Thunder and Nuggets, I said that game, I truly believe that series will go 7. I do. I think it will. And as much as I'm afraid that the Thunder are still maybe a year away, that they're just still too young for the moment and for the bright lights, I just think there's too much talent there to bet against them. And, Denver just doesn't have the depth. Porter Jr., I think something's going on with his shoulder. He's definitely not that. So they really are down to Jamal, Gordon, Christian Brown, and Westbrook off the bench. But, how much can you rely on that for a whole series? So I like Thunder in 7, and I do think the Thunder come out. And then Thunder, Minnesota, I truly think is going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a great series. I think they're both really talented teams. I think Minnesota can give them everything, but I got to pick the Thunder. So I'm going to go with David Stern back in the day would not like an Indiana Pacer versus Oklahoma City Thunder finals as far as ratings for the worldwide audience, but I think it'd be kind of fun. I think it'd be a couple new teams, and we need some new blood in there. So that's what I'm going with, this Thunder out of the West.
That is the saltiest Laker take. I want the two smallest market teams.
I would have picked Minnesota to win it all, because then I could have said, hey, well, at least
I got beat by the team that won. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say, I either want Minnesota because they beat me, or I want some tiny ass team so they don't steal my big market Thunder.
Right, exactly.
We get Oklahoma City and Indiana. The NBA audience is going to be like,
about top stuff better than this.
Oh, that is funny. Bob with the lines. It's funny. Bob and I think alike. First of all, Derek, I really wanted to pick Golden State for you. I did. I'm looking at the team, but then I started looking at Minnesota, and boy, do they have a young, good team. They're fast. They can shoot threes. They can play defense. I got Minnesota against OKC in the Western Conference Finals, and I'm with Bob. I got Minnesota going to the finals.
Right.
I've got them against the Knicks. So, all right, guys, let's see. Who do we have as our champions? Derek, go for it.
Well, we've come this far.
Golden State.
I mean, can't not, right? It's I
Yeah.
mean, Bob says I can, but
No. Okay.
be
You got
loyal.
Golden State. I'm sure Gazelle, Golden State.
I feel like this is not a situation there, that this looks like a fairly minor injury. I'm going with all-star take Draymond. We are going to win the championship.
You can
But I
rebound.
wanna
And you
say,
can assist.
regardless of how I feel about the fandom, Bob and Josh,
Yes.
Anthony Edwards is not ready for this moment. Okay, like he is. If I had to pick a non-Warriors team, I'm going with Jeremy's take on OKC, because the guy, he can't even how many games did he get fined in a row for running his mouth? Like, where's the stat for that? Like, where's the clip for that? I mean, the kid's not ready. He doesn't have the poise. He doesn't have the he doesn't have it yet. He needs a little bit of growth. But I appreciate how much faith you all have in Anthony Edwards.
I don't want Bob to go.
It's adorable.
I think Bob and I will pick the same team.
You might be surprised. We'll see.
I don't know. I'm going to say mine then first. I say the Knicks win it all.
Wow.
I think the Knicks win it all. I don't think Minnesota wins it all. I think the Knicks, as long as they stay healthy, are going to win it all and bring in their first championship since 1972, since Willis Reed. Is that right?
Wow.
I think so.
Yeah, it's been that long. Yeah. So that's who I think. Okay, Bob, who are you picking?
Poise schmoise. Anthony Edwards is the real deal.
He is.
He is the real deal. You don't need poise when you play like that. Well, okay, yeah, you do. But the point is, he is the real deal. However,
it's like Lee
Stephen A is going to be a happy man this year because the New York Knicks are going all the way. They are taking it. I like Jalen Brunson. I like that roster. I think that you mentioned, Jeremy, about Indiana and the Knicks being a bloodbath. I think this is one of those that could be a bloodbath to Minnesota and the Knicks, because both teams can play defense. Both teams got some scorers. But I like Brunson. I like that team. I think they get over that hump finally, and they win it all. So I'm going with the Knicks.
Okay. Imagine whoever Jer picks and they win it all.
Well, last year I came on before the finals and I said Dallas all the way against Boston.
Right.
Look, my word is gold. There you go. Did not happen. Anyways, Thunder are winning it all. They were the best team all year. Yes, they had a stumbling block that first game. I just think the coaching malpractice with that call of fouling that far. But they are the best team. They're the most balanced team. They're the best defensive team, and they're loaded. And I think they're going to be contenders for a long, long time. And they are going to win it all this year and then hold that spot next year, because Giannis is going to be in purple and gold and we'll be back. All right. So just hold our play.
Probably, and then they'll win it all. Probably.
Oh my God.
So I got Thunder this year.
I didn't realize that everybody was taking psychedelics before getting on.
Us
Laker
fans have few more favorite hobbies in life than cropping other superstars' pictures into purple and gold. That's as soon as a rumor circulates that we're doing it.
I really want to watch these games now.
It's going to be good, man.
It looks interesting. And hey, Golden State could win.
Derek, hypothetically speaking, let's say Curry is not back from injury, and we had to pick between OKC and the Knicks in a final scenario. Who would you go with?
Ooh.
Knicks.
I knew you would say that. Yep.
Yeah, I go with the Knicks.
What's interesting is, Jeremy, didn't you just say Oklahoma's a year away?
No, I said that's my fear in picking them. My fear in picking them is I feel like, are they still a little too young for that moment?
Right. That's a
Let's
big
be
moment.
They're still young. So that's my fear in picking them. But from a talent perspective, I think they're the most talented team. They're the most connected, balanced team. I just can't see them losing this. So I got to go with them. But yes, my one fear is that the lights are going to be too big for them in the biggest moment.
That's kind of why I chose against them. The other reason is I think if New York can come back from like this big of deficit, they've now proven that they can do anything. Now that was also Boston's to give up, so a lot of that is on them. But if they can come back like that, they're capable of just about anything, I think. So,
And plus, I mean, imagine all the Clipper fans seeing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander holding a trophy after they traded 1 million first-round picks for Paul George. I mean, that's another reason I'm picking the Thunder.
added bonus.
Let me ask you guys one final question, a what-if question. Any team that we did not pick would be a surprise for any of you to win it all right now.
I mean, I think you can't count the Celtics out yet. Yeah, I mean the Celtics. As much as they are just now buried in a hole, I still think they're the defending champions, and you can't count them out yet. So I think if there's a surprise team that we have not picked that could still end up being there in the long run, it's them. But
Interesting. Bob?
A surprise, Cleveland. Simply because of the injuries. I just don't think they're going to get healthy quick enough. Yeah. Like if they miraculously everybody was healthy for game 3, maybe they could pull it off, because I don't think it was a fluke that they were as good as they were this year. So maybe they could pull it off, but I just don't. To me, it's more of an injury thing. So the surprise would be if everybody came back and they were able to pull off a streak of wins and pull it off. But we'll see. Because I kind of agree with Jeremy as far as Boston. They're not out of this thing yet, even though the Knicks are up 2 games to none. But they're not out of it. They're still the defending champs. And one thing they've shown all year is they can shoot that 3, and so they're still in this thing.
Okay, Gazelle.
I mean, I'm going to say that a Stephen Curry-less Warriors would be a huge surprise to get to anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like, to have that would be a shock of the century. I honestly, in trying to answer that question myself of between the Knicks and OKC, I honestly don't know who I would pick. Like I am stuck for the reason that Jeremy went with OKC and put an asterisk of I'm worried that they'll let me down because they still need another year. That's why I would say what Derek says, but I also think that OKC just is so packed, and it's like maybe this is their moment, this is their time. So like I'm not sure that would have to come down to like penalty kicks. I don't know how I would feel. I really don't know who I would pick in that scenario. I think ultimately on a coin flip, I'd probably go Knicks just because of I want to see what Spike Lee would do, and I think that would be funny. That would be funny, and also because in some ways it would sort of stick it to the Lakers fans to have another big market team. That would be fun,
buddy.
That would be fun, but yeah, I think that the one thing that I could say it's on this series, this whole playoffs, the mayhem has been like March Madness, where people that were like first or second or third just ended up tanking out in ways that people didn't expect, and whether it's injuries or whatever. But the fact that it happened so much is rare. Usually it happens in one series or 2, but like it seems like it's happening in all 4 corners of the bracket. So there's just upsets, and this whole idea of a home court advantage in all first 5 games of round 2 being one at home on the road is I don't even know if that stat exists, like if it's happened before, so this is just a sort of a really, I feel like we're in for some surprises. We're gonna look at this a year from now and be like, how the hell did the Pacers become world champions?
Crazy. That could be crazy.
Like, how did Halliburton become MVP? Like, I don't know.
That would be crazy. All right. So you think Golden State? Derico, what do you think?
For a surprise,
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm not going to say Golden State without Curry. I can't believe that. I can't put my brain there, and I'm not going to. Yeah, Cleveland, for the reason that Bob was saying. If they can somehow pull themselves out of this, yeah, I would be amazed. I would be absolutely shocked. And then I'm like, look, if they can get themselves out of this, then there probably is no stopping them. But highly doubtful. I mean, Boston is a step up from that. They're not as much of a surprise for what the Bob and Jeremy had mentioned. Like, yes, they are still in it,
right?
But I don't think they're up by that much on that level. I mean, I think New York's doing a pretty good job handling them right now. So, unless that changes, yes, it may, but Cleveland would be the ultimate surprise.
I agree with you and Bob. I think it's Cleveland. I think it's Cleveland, yet none of us, except Jared, mentioned Boston, who won it all last year. And none of us are saying it could be a surprise because we're not talking Boston. If you think about it, we all said Boston's not winning. So maybe that could be the biggest surprise, is that Boston comes in and repeats. But
maybe
I just can't see it. I just can't see it. And I really can't. Would it be cool to see Golden State win it if Curry was injured? That would be pretty crazy. That could be pretty crazy. How many of you guys won?
4.
We need a thumb ring. We need a thumb ring.
So you would get 5 and then 1. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
I got 5 on it.
Yeah. So very interesting. All right. Well, does anybody else want to say anything, or are we good with the NBA playoffs?
I think we're good. I
think we covered it.
Thank you guys for having me on. I always love talking hoops, and hopefully I can come back on during the finals and we can do this again. But playoffs have been great. Really good basketball, been exciting. And so I'm looking forward to the rest of the playoffs.
Very cool. Gazelle, anything else you want to add?
Nope. Always a pleasure, fellas. Always a pleasure.
Well, we love having you both on.
Thank you for coming on, both of you. It was a real treat tonight. All right. Talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, guys.
Bye. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Depressed Laker fan.
Depressed Laker fan.
And then I can't sign off.
It's okay.
I like that.
He's good.
There we go.
I think he's technical difficulties.
He is still
there. He's still there.
There. Can you get him? God.
Poor guy.
It's like the Undertaker. It's just in the background. Oh God.
Yeah, I'll just take him over until he figures it out.
There we go. Yeah.
Love you, Jeremy.
All righty. So the next topic, let's go to it, Bobo.
All right.
Engaging defensive measures.
Oh my God.
Wait, that's not supposed
Oh my God.
All right. Well, last Thursday night, Marvel's yearly May movie came out, except for last year, which they didn't have anything. Thunderbolts came out, and our own movie buff, Bob, went to see it opening night. And Derek and I have not seen it yet. I might go next week. We'll see. But basically, from what we're reading, it's a box office bomb. Bob, why don't you kind of lead us with this, because you saw the movie. You gave a great review on your own channel. Was it good? Go check it out if you haven't seen Bob's other channel. What do you think about the movie and what's going on first? Why don't you discuss the movie a little bit first? Spoiler free, though.
Okay, so, well, I guess it's not really a spoiler on some of this stuff now, but we'll throw this out there.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
So, the movie itself, I think, is better than anything Marvel's, well, not anything, but better than a lot of what Marvel had in Phase 4 and 5. The only ones I would put this below would be No Way Home, Guardians 3, and Deadpool and Wolverine. I'd put this one right there. So this was better than a lot of the stuff. At least I thought it was. Now,
So
I'm not
better
saying
than
that
Shang-Chi, better than Eternals, obviously, better than
I
Black
thought it was
Widow.
better than Black Widow. I thought it was better than Shang-Chi. I thought it was better than Thor: Love and Thunder. I thought it was better than Eternals,
Okay.
Doctor Strange 2, the Marvels. So Captain America 4. So it was better than a lot of the stuff that came out.
Okay.
I think that the characters were fun. I thought the movie itself, the story was an average Marvel story, but I thought it was made better because of the characters. I don't think it's worthy of the praise that it's getting, but I also don't think it's as bad as some of the hate that it's getting either. I thought this was an entertaining movie, and I think Marvel did appear that they were doing some course correction with this, but I don't know if that was really I don't know if it's enough to get them back completely. I think it's a step in the right direction, but is it too little, too late? I don't know. But I will say that it didn't do too well at the box office. Let me see if
Yeah, can we see the latest figures?
yeah, give me 1 second here to pull some of this up here.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying not to pull up an article with some of the spoilers, but I guess it's not really a spoiler because they've already announced it in the marketing and stuff. So let me just share this screen here.
Because when you're done, I have a question for you and for Derek as well, to see since we're talking about this struggle.
Okay, so again, this really isn't a spoiler because they've already revealed this in the marketing.
Right.
So
wow, that's not
it
good.
debuted at 74 million, and that was actually one of the lower MCU films. Let me see if it actually says here. Yeah. Let's see. So it opened to 74 million instead of the reported 76, which is what the original report was. It was highly rated by audiences. It had an A- cinema score and a 94% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So I guess they're hoping, that they'll do better with that. But this barely scored more than Eternals. Eternals had 71.2 million. It's opening weekend, and this was at 74 million. So it was barely above Eternals. Let me see if I can get the actual number where it's at right now. Oh, and then to point this out, in the marketing, because again, this really isn't a spoiler at this point, the asterisk for the team name actually refers to the New Avengers. By the end of the film, they are called the New Avengers. I know we have the spoiler warning up there, but again, it's not much of a spoiler because they're already sharing it in the marketing. So I guess they're hoping that by revealing that's going to boost the numbers for week 2. What I think's a possibility is that maybe by word of mouth, they can actually do a lot better on week 2. Let's see where they're currently sitting at. And that's not going to include tonight's number. But currently it's sitting at 86 million or 86.7 million and an international of 86.2 million for a worldwide total of 173 million. there's not really a whole lot coming out this week. In fact, not really anything. And so there is a strong possibility that they could hold on to that number one spot. And so I do think that there's a possibility they could have a strong second weekend simply because there's not a whole lot that's coming out right now. But again, this is 173 million worldwide. Not exactly a great take for Marvel. If you look at some of their numbers, they only did 5 million on Monday. That was a drop of 71% from the day before. So, I mean, it was a pretty big drop on Monday. It had a decent Tuesday, but you contrast that with, say, not actually a Marvel movie, but contrast that with Sinners, which has been doing really well. Sinners is at 244 million worldwide, but if you look, open to see if I can. If you look at its domestic drops,
Yeah.
I mean, just on the weekends, for example, weekend 2, it only had a 4.8% drop on week 2. I mean, that's phenomenal. And then a 27.6% drop on week 3. So that movie's still doing extremely well. So I just wanted to point that out that, word of mouth seems to be helping that movie out. Maybe it'll help Thunderbolts, but I don't see that happening. I think Thunderbolts, unfortunately, is going to be another flop. But I will say, from a quality perspective, I think it's actually much better than what's been done before. And I actually saw an article in Variety today. I think it was Variety, where Kevin Feige was talking about that they all are agreeing that they have a quantity problem and they're wanting to pull back on that and focus more on the films and try to make better quality films as opposed to just throwing so much content out there, which it's kind of funny because they're about to drop Ironheart next month. Have you guys seen any marketing for that?
Not at all. I didn't even know it was coming out.
Quietly drop that out there and not even push any marketing towards that. Just gonna drop it.
Okay, so I want to ask this question to both of you. I'll start with Derek, since Bob, you went over that excellent, review and statistics. Do you think, Derek, that this movie is a flop because people don't care about these characters? And I want to answer the same thing, Bob.
Well, okay. There's 2 reasons why I think this is not doing nearly as well as one would have hoped.
Okay.
One, nobody knows them. It's not that nobody cares about them. It's that nobody knows them.
Okay.
And so they're just like, who the hell are the Thunderbolts? Why should we even care about this? And 2, I got to tell you, I haven't seen all that much marketing for this. I didn't I didn't get hit with it until like about 2 weeks before it was, you released in theaters. So between those 2 reasons, that's why I don't think it ended up doing all that well.
Okay, Bob?
I don't. I do think the characters, that fact that nobody knows them, I do think that plays into it a little bit. But to know them, you got to do the homework. Yeah. You have to have seen Black Widow.
Yeah.
You have to have seen the Falcon and Winter Soldier. You have to have seen what else? You have to have seen Ant-Man and the Wasp because of Ghost.
Ghost, that's right.
Oh yeah. God, I forgot about that.
You have to have seen what else?
You would have had to have watched
Hawkeye. You would have had to watch Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Not Secret Invasion. No, not really.
Secret Invasion.
No. But you would have had to watch Hawkeye because of Florence Pugh's role in that.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have had to watch a lot of this stuff, and we already know that the numbers were down on the television shows as opposed to the movies. Also, when Black Widow came out, not a lot of people saw that. Yeah. Word of mouth wasn't great on it.
Nope.
And it came out during the height of COVID, and it got a dual release between streaming and the theater. So not a lot of people really saw one or the other. It was just there wasn't a ton push for it. It just and that kind of sucks. But again, the movie itself wasn't that great. It focused on completely the wrong thing. But I think the problem is, yeah, you don't really know a whole lot of the characters, but I think the biggest issue is damage to the brand. I think that's the biggest problem here. Apathy has set in for a lot of people. Just that analogy that I've used about going to a restaurant and getting a bad meal over and over and over again. Eventually, you're going to stop going to that restaurant. That's what's happened here, is that people got tired of getting a bad meal over and over again. Now, if you go back to phase 1 of the MCU, a lot of these characters weren't well known in phase 1, and some of the ones in phase 2 and who would later appear in phase 3, they got developed. These characters weren't developed. They just kind of threw them all together. So not a lot of people knew who they were. Now, I've seen the stuff that I needed to see before this, but if you hadn't seen it, you wouldn't know who a lot of these guys are. Like, you wouldn't know who John Walker is if you didn't watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yep.
And he's a great character. I love that character.
Yeah, USA was great.
So yeah.
Are you done? Or you?
No, I was going to say that I think that's a bigger problem that the people don't know the characters.
I'm going to agree with both of you. Everything both of you have said, I totally agree with. I think people don't know the characters. I think what Bob said about being, there's no development and the brand has been hurt for so long that we're like, nope, not interested. Because think about it. Deadpool, Wolverine, fantastic, right? Guardians 3, fantastic. People we know. Spider-Man, No Way Home, fantastic. Everything else sent around those movies and even in phase 4, no one's really liked. And it's like Bob has told me this, Derek, lack of development. When you had Iron Man and Thor in phase 1 and all of them, you slowly built them up. You created the character. I've said this on the show before. When Iron Man came out, Bob and I, we knew some stuff, but I went to you. I went to Derek, and Derek's like, oh, yeah, he faces the Mandarin. You knew the stuff. Not a lot of people knew it, and it ended up being a great movie.
Yeah.
What Marvel has done now is like, hey, guess what? For the big May review, we've got Thunderbolts coming out. And everyone's like, okay. And we all wanted to see it. We talked about it during Captain America 4. Derek, you said, I think I want to see it. Could be cool. Bob, you said, I'm going to see it. I think it's going to be better than Captain America 4, which obviously it was. But I think it's people are like, they're not sure what to think about this group because they haven't been really with this group that much. Everybody, if you look at this group and you say, name me one person from this group who people are probably going to say Bucky, right?
Yeah,
probably.
And saying, and probably that's why a lot of people, who did see it are seeing it is because of Bucky, because they love Bucky. But excuse me, I think it is oversaturation. And again, you need to go with what works. I think that's why, and look, we don't know what's going to happen with Doomsday, if it's going to be good, if it's not going to be good. You guys bust me about, Robert Downey and all that, but we don't really, they're throwing everything at Doomsday. They've got everything going at that.
That's another problem here too.
Right, because it's got to be good story writing. That's something Bob has said from day one.
But that's proof of that. But this Thunderbolts explains this as to why. If the damage is done so much at this point, and people are walking away, it's not going to matter how much they throw at that movie.
Here's where I think Marvel screwed up, just personally, because I do think this movie does more than a lot of Phase 4 and 5 movies to advance the MCU forward, especially because they abandoned a lot of the story they were going with. Because remember, they were actually building towards the Kang Dynasty,
Right,
and then
you
they
said that
decided
yesterday.
to abandon that
Yeah,
and go with Doomsday.
Right.
So this movie, I think, does more to advance the MCU forward towards the new direction that they're going. The problem is, I don't think that they should have released this movie in May.
I agree.
I think they actually should have released the Fantastic Four in May.
Yeah. Yep.
And here's why. I think they put the Fantastic Four in July
Superman.
because they were hoping to compete with Superman.
Yep.
That's not going to compete with Superman.
It's going to
The
get
best
crushed.
bet would have been to put Thunderbolts, say, like the first week of August or something like that.
Or March.
No, I think a little bit later, especially given the end credit scene. Put it in August, and that would have been fine. Captain America was fine where it was at because nobody watched it anyway. It sucked.
Yes.
I think that's the direction they should have gone. I think that would have helped the movie or Marvel a little bit better. But then again, I've seen some of these previews for Fantastic Four and not too impressed after the second one. The first one I liked, the first trailer. I wasn't too impressed with the second one.
Derek hasn't been impressed with anything of it.
I will say that I saw something on social media today where they said it's confirmed that Reed Richards will be the main character or the main hero for Doomsday, which should be if
That's
Dr.
right.
Doom is going to be the villain.
That's accurate. Okay, that's good.
But
Gonna help.
you watch Sue Storm
hold
is going to be Sue Storm's going to be the main character for.
Okay, you just jinxed it. You just jinxed it. But hold on, Derek. You said it won't happen.
No, I
Couple
said it's
weeks
not gonna
ago-
help.
It's not going to help. But you said on this show a couple weeks ago, what were we talking about? About saying that what were we? Oh, Daredevil. During the finale, when we were reviewing the finale of Daredevil, you said, okay, this was a step in the right direction. Maybe they do little things to help it.
Right, but my point being is now, even if you do little things that are good and are step in the right direction, what if the audience has given up? Then it's done. It
Has
doesn't
the
matter.
audience given up, Bob? Has the audience given up?
I think a good portion of it has.
Yeah,
Do you
I mean,
think
let's
away
use
for a couple years?
just to kind of piggyback off that. Let's use Star Wars as an example. All right. We talked about this earlier today that people have said that despite the first few episodes of this season of Andor not being very good, that the last three were actually pretty good, and people are ranting and raving. I only bring that up because is anybody really watching? That's the problem, is that the brand has been so damaged, and I think you're seeing that now with Marvel. Lucasfilm, we already saw that.
Right.
Now we're seeing that happen with Marvel, where people are just like, I got some comments in my comment section for my video where people were like, yeah, I'm just tired of all these bad Marvel movies. I'll watch it when it's on streaming. So, yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing. That's like a big comment. And then what happens now? Like, say if we all agreed that Marvel should go away for a couple years, right? But now DC is taking over. Marvel's not going to go away.
Well, DC though, DC's they've got one shot.
Superman.
They screw up with Superman.
that's
The
it.
rest of their universe is dead.
Right. I don't think they are going to screw up, though.
And
Whatever.
well,
You don't know that.
No, I know.
You have no idea.
every time you say, I don't think it's going to happen, it
Yeah.
ends up happening.
And every time you
is-
say something, it happens.
Is
You
it
should-
possible? Yes, it's possible.
Yes, it is possible.
It's always possible. Now, I hope not, because I do like James Gunn, and I'm hoping that he gets this right. But there are a few red flags here and there with it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, let's wait and see. Now, DC does have one advantage.
Yeah.
Batman.
If this bombs
Yeah.
Superman, they can fall back on the Batman.
Yep.
And I can't help but wonder if that's kind of why the Batman keeps getting delayed, and they're not saying that. They're
I
waiting
heard
to see
another thing about that, by the
they're
way.
waiting to see what happens with Superman. but they can always fall back on the Batman universe if they need to. Now,
Right.
we'll see.
I
But
heard one
Marvel
rumor.
doesn't have that fallback.
No,
No, they don't. But I heard Matt Reeves might be sick or something. That's why it keeps getting delayed. That's another rumor. So I don't know. Well, I don't know, gentlemen. We'll just, I guess look, the more I'm watching this stuff, and look, I'll say this, I watched the last 2 episodes of Andor from last night. I have one more to watch, but yes, it has gotten better. But the more I see this, and like what Bob said about Thunderbolts, and with everything going on, maybe they need a break, but I don't think they're going to. Maybe
No,
they
because
need
they have too much
figure it
already
out.
going right now.
Yeah.
Right. So
You
maybe
can't
that
stop.
what Kevin Feige said about we're putting too much out on streaming. We need to make better quality movies. Maybe, that's what they're going to focus on. I don't know. I don't know what the end credit scene was for Thunderbolts. Bob, obviously, I don't know if you know, Derek. So I don't want to talk about it, but I did hear that the Russos directed it.
The Russos directed the end credit scene, and it does advance. But yeah, I thought it was a fine end credit scene. It's actually a pretty long end credit scene. It's like 2.5 minutes.
Wow, that is 3 minutes long. Okay. So, I might go. Are you planning to see it or waiting for streaming for Thunderbolts?
I want to try to get to the theater for it. We've talked so much about so many summer movies. It's like now I feel like I really gotta.
Yeah, I might go next week, maybe.
Yeah, get my.
And we're talking about it bombing at the box office. We got to be honest. It did not make numbers that they want for an MCU film. That being said, I still liked the movie. I thought it, like I said, I thought it was an average Marvel movie that was made better because of the characters. I enjoyed it a lot more than a lot of what was in Phase 4 and 5. It was enjoyable for me.
Okay. Was the movie?
To be fair, word of mouth can help even after a movie has been released.
Yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy is an example of that. Guardians 3.
There you go.
Because it had a pretty poor opening by the standards for what Marvel was hoping for the final film in the series. If I remember correctly, it domestically, it made over 100 million, but I think they were hoping for a lot more. But it had very, very small drops because it had very good word of mouth.
So that's what there's actually a very good shot that even once this does go to streaming, it could just hook on to the direction that they're, trying to go the right way and tail off of that. That actually has a pretty good shot of happening.
We'll see what happens, but there's a possibility. I think it could have a decent second weekend just simply because there's not a whole lot coming out.
Yeah.
And then you've got the week after, you got
that's the big stuff.
You got the Final Fantasy Final Destination.
Yeah.
Bloodlines. And then you've got I forget the name of the other movie that's coming out that weekend. And then the weekend after that is where it really takes off because you got Mission Impossible, Lilo and Stitch. The weekend after that, you got Karate Kid. So yeah, there. If Thunderbolts is going to make anything back and hope to make any sort of splash, it needs to happen on this weekend.
I think people are going to make 2 decisions. One, they want to go to the theater and see it, or 2, they just want to see the end credit scene and will watch it at home.
I don't think the end credit scene is going to play into that a whole lot because, like I said, Josh, I think apathy is really set in.
Probably. Was the theater busy or no?
It was an okay crowd,
but it wasn't sold out.
But I also went kind of early. It was like a 4:00 showing, like literally right as I was getting out of work, and so it was on a Thursday, so not a lot of kids were out of school and stuff like that. Right. So, but again, you look at the whole weekend; it didn't exactly tear it up either.
Right. Well,
I can't remember the last time I saw a packed movie theater.
Honestly. Oh, here all the time. All the time.
Okay.
All the time.
But you're in a different market, though, Josh.
I know. I know.
It's a completely different market there.
Yeah,
it was packed. Every movie was packed.
The movie theater I go to is also in the middle of a downtown, so that might have a lot to do with it.
Oh, it could be.
You're not there for a movie.
I don't know. No, definitely packed. Yeah, no, it just we'll see what happens. It's like I told Bob Derek about Andor. I said these last 3 episodes. I said, why the heck didn't they start these as episode 1, 2, and 3? It was so good. It would have gotten people's attentions. And
I'm sorry, I even brought it up.
Yeah.
I was just trying to compare.
No. I'm just saying about the industry itself with the apathy, with that people don't care anymore. They
It wouldn't have
don't
helped
want
it, Josh. That's the point
don't
I was
know.
trying to make to you
No,
earlier
in
today
general,
when
I
we
get
talked.
they don't care. Nobody cares now.
Because
We don't care.
these wouldn't have helped. That's the whole point. These better episodes. Nobody wanted to watch
No,
the
but
show
I'm
to
talking about
begin
Marvel
with.
also. Marvel and Lucasfilm,
Oh.
nobody cares about.
It's
I
time
wouldn't say nobody, but yeah, very few people. I keep saying nobody watched it. No, I mean obviously some people watched it, but much smaller audience than what it used to be.
take some time off. Both
Yeah.
of them.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So,
Make the heart absence makes the heart grow fonder. How can I miss you if you don't go away?
Yep.
I mean, I've thought about like the Star Wars, what you would get rid of, like if somebody
All of
else
it?
took it over. I mean, yes and no, because there are some things that I personally liked that you could still work as canon, but get rid of you're basically getting rid of like 85% of stuff
Well,
and only keeping about
I'd
50.
get rid of 100% after Revenge of the Sith.
No, I wouldn't get rid of Rogue One. I like Rogue One.
I love Rogue One, but I'd still get rid of it. I'd get rid of
wouldn't.
everything that Disney did under their banner.
I don't know. There were just a couple of things I would have kept. Anyway. All right. Anything else, gentlemen?
it's too
That's
bad.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go on to our final topic of the night. That was cool. So
Nice one.
we're coming up with the third topic, and Bob came up with a very good topic tonight: the top 5 favorite movie characters. So, gentlemen, what we talked about this a little before the show. What do you want to do? Do you want to just list all of yours, or do you want to go around? What would you like to do?
Let's go around the room. Let's give our honorable mentions, and then what we can do is go around the room again, but just when you can list all 5 of yours.
Got it.
So,
All right.
But let's do the honorable mentions first.
Derico, let's start with your honorable mentions.
Well, okay. So it's going to be a little problematic here because one of them nobody really knows, but it's like this British dark comedy that was made like from the 80s. It's called Whitnail and I. So it plays this guy who is just a huge lush, just zero care. He like starts off in a cop car and he doesn't start off in a cop car. He's like I think like it's been a while since I've seen it, but the beginning scene is him just basically getting arrested by the cops because he's got God knows how much alcohol in his front seat, and this police officer goes, "Have you been drinking?" "No, sir." And then smokes a cigarette.
What's the name of this character?
Whitnail.
What?
Whitnail. W-H-I-T. Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
No, I know. Nobody really has. Somehow I ran into this when I was like right out of college and living in my apartment. And, yeah. And then like he is asked to blow into a bag and he goes, "I will not," and smokes a cigarette again. So it's funny stuff like that. And if you see him, you're just like, oh, this guy's a mess. And it's a lot of fun that level. And then my second honorable mention, yeah, I don't care. I like him. Samwise Gamgee from the Lord of the Rings series.
Okay.
Oh no, I think that's an excellent choice.
Yeah, I like him very much. And shout out to Sean Astin. I thought like one of the most fun fights in the movie is when he takes on that spider. In the third one. Sheila. Like you will not touch him again. That's just, it's great stuff. Love it.
It's funny that you mentioned Samwise Gamgee. I'm actually doing a rewatch of the extended versions of it, and I just finished The Two Towers.
Oh,
wow.
man, it's so. you when you start watching those movies, you don't stop. You're gonna get sucked in. You're gonna watch the whole thing. It's just great stuff. The Two Towers
Absolutely.
is excellent. God, Helm's Deep may be the best battle scene I've ever seen in movies. Top 5.
I
sure.
love that scene.
Yeah, it's great. So those are my 2.
All right, Bobo. What about yours?
All right, I actually got 3 just because I
So
could
do I.
not decide. I just couldn't decide on 2 of them. So these are actually in no particular order. These 3. So first off, Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, excellent.
Anthony Hopkins is fantastic in this role. What a creepy character. You know, you got Clarice Starling coming to get information from him in order to help catch Buffalo Bill. And I just think he's absolutely fantastic in this. He also did a great job in Hannibal as well as in Red Dragon. This is just a fantastic character. He plays him well. Easily or arguably the greatest villain in movie history, even though he's not necessarily my favorite character. Definitely, arguably the greatest villain in film history. Another honorable mention, Ellen Ripley from the Alien movies.
Okay.
Fantastic character, especially in the first 2 films, and that's really where my focus comes from. This is a character who she was always strong as far as in her abilities as a pilot, and I think she was second in command on the Nostromo. Granted, it was a small crew, but so she's got some skills there, and to see her morph into what she becomes by the end of Aliens in the second one, and becoming a real badass. She's great. She's got that motherly instinct as well towards Newt. I just really love this character. So Ellen Ripley, and then Captain Jack Sparrow. This is
I knew you would say that.
This is such a fun character. Johnny Depp is fantastic in this role. He's great in all of the movies, even if the movie's weaker. Like which one was it? Stranger Tides. That was the name of it, right? The 4th one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was easily the weakest one, where he goes to find the Fountain of Youth, and but still, he is enjoyable in every single one of the movies. He makes those movies. I can't believe they've talked about doing a reboot without him. I just don't see how that's a success. I mean, there's no way you could replace this character.
Nope.
And so, yeah, Captain Jack Sparrow. So that's the end of my honorable mentions.
All right. So, Derek, years ago, we talk about, you want to cheer yourself up and stuff. All of us have been through a lot. Bob and I watched a movie together, and it was a horrible movie. But I've got to put this guy on my list because to this day, we laugh. And it's been on the show. And I just looked at his name up in the movie. It was Terrence Stamp's character, Jack Taylor, in My Boss's Daughter. Because
worked up stuff better than this.
It was the worst movie.
This is
for some reason.
Wow.
Bob and I can laugh our butts off in every part that he's in because it's just that part. And then he's like, he introduces Ashton Kutcher to his Al, and he says, "This is my Al, OJ." Oh, like the killer? No, the football player. And then there's just a scene where they're trying to get him, and he slips off a tree, and he basically lands on the tree branch, and the camera has him pan. He turns completely around in his face, and Bob and I are like, how could this movie be so bad? Because his character was so freaking good. So he's one of my honorable mentions.
All right.
The other honorable mention, Rambo.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Sylvester Stallone as Rambo. I loved the first 2 movies. Thought he did a great job. Third movie, I remember watching it at Bob's house. And I had never seen it. And I was like, I always remember the preview for it, the trailer, and you saw the Colonel being held hostage, and I thought it'd be so good, and it wasn't. But still, it was Rambo, and even I saw the one after that. I think we saw it, Bob, but I never saw the fifth one.
Oh, you never saw? I forget I think it's
what's the fifth
Last
one?
Blood.
Yeah, I did not see that one.
Okay,
So
it's basically Home Alone with blood and guts.
Oh, okay. That's good. And
no,
so
I'm serious because he said like he's battling the cartel. It's actually a decent story. It's very simple, but he sets all these traps for him and stuff. And so I think that's kind of cool because it takes into account his age. He's not exactly one who can fight quite like he used to. He has to set a lot of traps and stuff like that. So
right. All right. So that was that one, and then my number 6 one is another one. All three of us joke around all the time. Mr. George Washington Duke from the worst Rocky movie ever, but that guy was the Don King character that he was basically made to be like. But I remember talking to you, Derek, about it, and you're like, what are you doing? And I told you, you broke down laughing because you were like, oh my God.
I didn't see it coming at all. It was,
I mean, he's like the only good thing about that movie.
Pretty much.
The rest of that movie is horrible. And I had to put him on this list because, again, makes all three of us laugh. And he's just, Ms. Balboa, certainly you can hear it. And just in the ring. Tell me good, only spots in the ring. I mean, Bob.
In Tokyo.
What's going to happen you with that mandolin for as long as you dare to wear boxing gloves?
It's just so good. It just makes me laugh. How could you not laugh? So those are my honorable mentions.
All right.
All right, Bob. Who's your number 5? Or go ahead and give us everything.
All right. Number 5, Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. Okay. I love the character arc that he goes on to watch him turn from this innocent boy who's just curious to get out and see the world, wants more than a slave's life, and ends up going on to become one of the greatest Jedi in history and a Sith Lord who loses pretty much everything because he brings about his own downfall because of the choices that he makes, and he does it all because he thinks he has to in order to save his wife. He makes that commitment, and to see him go down the road that he does, but then ultimately get redeemed through the love of his son. I think that it's a great story arc. I love this character. So Darth Vader for me is number 5.
Okay.
Number 4, Biff Tannen.
Come on.
This guy, Josh, really? You put the dad from the boss from my boss's daughter, and you're gonna get on to me for saying Biff Tannen?
You love the boss. You love Jack.
Yeah, but Biff, but he compares to Biff. Come on.
No, all I said was I knew you would pick him. That's all I said.
Jeez,
Biff Tannen.
Hello? Anybody home? Hey, think McFly, think.
It's Bob and I.
How can you not love that? So the thing about him is that he's the bully. He's just a typical bully. Now, he does go to some dark places, though. That's what's interesting about this character. Like, what he was doing with Lorraine in that car, it wasn't like
it was dark.
I mean, they go to some dark places with him. And then, when he gets the almanac and what he becomes, when he becomes rich and wealthy, the decisions that he makes, because he can be an extremely dark character. We see that in his family history and his future history and everything. So, but at the end, he's still a bully, and if you stand up to the bully, he ends up in a completely different spot in his life where he becomes the humble one, So I just like what they did with this character. He's a lot of fun through a lot of it, watching some of the things that he says. Why don't you make like a tree and get out of here? So I love this character.
Then the older version of himself yells at him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Make like a tree and leave.
You know what I like is when Marty sees the casino owner version of Biff.
Oh,
He's like this crazy codger with a cane shows up, says he's my distant relative. I didn't see any resemblance.
Yes.
That's him. I didn't see any resemblance.
That's good.
So, my number 3 is Captain James T. Kirk. I think now, granted, this character first appeared on television, but the arc that this character goes on in the movies, I think, is an incredible arc that they take him on. Especially, I'd say Star Trek 2, 3, 4, and 6. What this character goes through, I think, is extremely good. In Star Trek 2, he's dealing with getting older and having to face an old enemy, and he ends up losing his best friend, but he's reunited with the son that he never knew that he shouldn't say that he didn't know that he had, but the son that he never had a relationship with. And then in Star Trek 3, more gets taken away from him. He loses his son, who he just reconnected with. His ship gets destroyed, but he gets his friend back. And then in the last one, he ends up having to face his own prejudices. And so there was a lot of stuff that they did with this character. I think that were very mature to take your hero on, and or the type of journey that they took him on. It was very mature. I like what they did with him. And at the end of the day, this character never really loses who he is. He always is looking for the way out of stuff. He's all as far as he's very resourceful. He finds ways out of jams that not a lot of other people find. And so he's just a very resourceful character. And even in his lowest moments, like when his son gets killed, he's able to overcome that to save his crew. And so I just, I thought he was a tremendous character in the movies. Number 2, Indiana Jones. He is, come on. He's a classic character. He is the ultimate adventurer. You just love going on these adventures with him. Raiders of the Lost Ark is a near perfect movie, if not a perfect movie, which brings me back to Biff real quick. Back to the Future, also a near perfect movie. But Indiana Jones was fantastic. Raiders of the Lost Ark is great. The Last Crusade is fantastic. Temple of Doom is, I think, a step down from Raiders of the Lost Ark, but it was enjoyable. But the character, he's great throughout all of these films. A lot of fun to go on these adventures with. And Harrison Ford is fantastic in the role. To be honest, obviously I know Han Solo is what made him a household name, but Indiana Jones to me is the one that cemented him as a movie star. So Indiana Jones, number 2. And at number 1 is my favorite movie character of all time, Rocky Balboa. This character overcomes obstacles in his personal life, in the ring. He literally has to overcome monsters that he's fighting against, and just the character arc that he goes through from the first film, where he's this down on this luck fighter, trying to make ends meet, working as a loan shark or collecting for a loan shark, to just wanting to go the distance when he gets that opportunity. But he finds true love. He begins to believe in himself that he could actually go the distance with the champ. We go on that journey with him, only to see him finally overcome the champ in the second one, and then overcome complacency in the third one, overcome the monster that is Drago in the fourth one, and literally end the Cold War by himself. And then just some of the things that we saw, it was just great with Rocky Balboa. My all-time favorite character. I love the journey that he went on, and then what they did with him in the Creed movies was a lot of fun as well too.
Really
so
good.
This is just an all-time great character. I don't think you're going to see characters like this again over this type of span of years that is this loved because of being an underdog, and we all root for him. He's just an amazing character. I love Rocky Balboa, so that's my list.
Okay, very cool. All right, Derico.
Well, I love all those characters as well, which is why this was very, very hard. This was not an easy thing to do at all. So my list will probably, some stuff you'll probably easily understand. Some stuff you may just be like, oh, really? Okay. So don't be surprised if I throw you off a little bit here. Don't be surprised if I don't.
Okay.
For my number 5, Sarah Connor's going to get the nod.
Nice.
Good choice.
That's really good.
It really, I mean, it's such an awesome story watching like some nice, normal woman, you know, just living her life, just being turned into this ultra 120% badass because she is just trying to protect her son and is terrified of what the future will bring. And that is why I love Sarah Connor. She's kind of like that Ellen Ripley feel, who I also love. I love Ripley, but Sarah Connor seems a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Significant, I guess, because Alien seems like a little bit more of a cult following than Terminator does. Terminator does seem a little bit more popular, so that's why I'm going to give Sarah Connor the nod. So that's number 5.
Just to piggyback off of that,
yeah,
Linda Hamilton was fantastic in that role, but Lena Headey did a great job in the Sarah Connor Chronicles adding to this character. If you guys ever do get a chance to see it, I know it got canceled, but if you ever do get a chance to see it, it's 2 seasons long. She was great in the role. I loved what she did, and it worked out for her when it got canceled because she got Game of Thrones. So
yeah,
it all worked out. She's a good actress, though.
Yeah, but she was great in that role too. So, and that actually added to the character.
Gotcha. Okay, good to know. Another thing that's on my list to watch. Another name, another title. My number 4 is Vito Corleone from The Godfather.
I figured you might have him on there.
Wow,
that's too timeless, man. That Marlon Brando is going to stand the test of time because of that character. That's it. When you think of Godfather, as much as you do think of Al Pacino, don't get it twisted, but when you think of Godfather, whose face pops up?
Brando.
yeah.
We all know. Okay, that done. So I have to get a nod to Vito on that one. Number 3 is Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men.
Okay. Oh wow, really?
Mm-hmm. I have never seen such a disturbing villain in my life. There is a scene in No Country for Old Men. It's the famous scene when he's in the gas station. He's having that dialogue with the guy who owns it, and you can. He basically is like telling him, like, when I flip this coin, it's going to decide if you live or die. But he never says it. He never actually says the words, but you know he means it. Because with a character that dark, how could he not? He does horrific things in that movie and goes to an awful lot of pain at times in order to do it too. And he doesn't scream. He doesn't yell. He says everything very quietly. It's super intimidating and very, very dark and awful. He doesn't move fast. He moves real slow. Everything about him is just so threatening. Love Anton Chigurh. Number 2, Bob has clips of him, is Walter Sobchak from The Big Lebowski.
Nice.
Okay. Is this your homework, Larry? Is this your homework, Larry? Dude, please.
We don't roll on the Shabbos.
I can't use any of the quotes I want to say because of all the language that's in them.
I know, it's bad.
But there is a scene in it that to this day I will laugh out loud when he runs out of Larry's house onto the street and sees the car and takes a golf club to it.
Yeah.
Do you see what happens, Larry? It's one of the funniest things. It gets me every single time. So Walter Sobchak takes number 2. Number 1, I don't know why. For some odd reason, he just keeps popping up in my head. I can't help it. Number 1 is Snake Plissken. You know who Snake Plissken is?
No.
Escape from L.A., Escape from New York.
Oh, yes. Because
Oh.
I recognize the name, but I was trying to place it.
I didn't know.
Because I've only seen that one once.
Yeah.
So
So
if
that's
you're ever looking
Kurt
for
Russell's character?
that's Kurt Russell's character.
Okay.
I never thought Kurt Russell could have aura, with the exception of Jack Burton, which was other than Snake Plissken, which you should
Jack
also
Burton always says.
Yes, I almost put Jack Burton on my list, but then I'm like, nah.
You should have done it just for Josh.
Of course.
But Kurt Russell, like, it's so cheesy, but he still looks so cool doing it. Like, just some of the lines he says, like, gotta smoke. Like, you better hope I don't make it back. Like, just cheesiness galore. Like, call me Snake. It's good. It's fun. It's badass. It's great. And I know we live in a wonderful world with so many different movie characters of whom I love, but I don't know why that one stood out to me and still always has. I love Snake Plissken. So I think that I consider that my number one.
All right. All right. I guess it's me. So number 5, I'm still going into a comedic kind of role. I've always loved J. Jonah Jameson. And I thought them selecting J.K. Simmons, he did such an amazing job. Bobby's looking probably for a clip right now. I think he had such great chemistry in those 3 Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire. And he just made you laugh, but like he also had some sincerity, with it. You didn't really see a lot of it, but when, Spider-Man quits, and then when when Mary Jane gets captured and, he's like, yes, I was wrong. And then Spider-Man comes in and grabs the suit and he's like, he's a menace. And he like completely turns on him. And so I've always loved that character. Bobby and I, always laugh about him. So that's my number 5.
Get some cheese and crackers, some of those little cocktail weenies.
Exactly. Also being married, you kind of like the way he talks. I
No,
don't know.
Your wife's online too.
Or she's like, the caterer quit. Thanks for the good news.
Thanks for the good news.
Number 4, I'm kind of surprised you guys didn't have, but maybe not. James Bond.
I love James Bond too.
I've always been a big fan of James Bond. I don't know what, just coming in with the tuxedo. I'd like a dry martini, shaken but not stirred, but then could kick ass. But sorry. And just really was a cool character. I know there were so many of them.
You love his theme song too, don't you?
Yeah, you can sing it well.
I'm not messing it. I'm not doing it.
You learned your lesson once on that, didn't you?
Yes, I'm not repeating myself. But I like Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
I liked Daniel Craig. We were very young or just saw with Roger Moore and Sean Connery, but just love that character. Love what he stands for. Love his confidence. Think he's a great character. My number 3 is Luke Skywalker. I really have always enjoyed his character. To this day, probably most of my anger is because we didn't get to see the Luke Skywalker that we deserve to see. Except
that's what most of your anger is based off of at this point?
Yes, only that. But just seeing him for the first time in A New Hope and then, becoming this Jedi. And I just thought Mark Hamill played him very well. And, he's always been a top character of mine. Number 2, I'm with Bob, Indiana Jones. I think he was an amazing character. Loved how he was an archaeologist, but added, some comedic relief. I agree. Probably Raiders of the Lost Ark was a perfect movie. I still love Last Crusade. That's like my favorite. My worst one, well, not my worst one, but for the original 3, I would say Last Crusade, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom.
That's because there are only 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just the way he just was confident as well, but was able to, solve things and just had that sarcasm that Harrison Ford could play him. And I've always been a fan. And my number 1, Darth Vader. There is, to me, to this day, it's so interesting because I know, Derek, you and I have sometimes talked about it, and Bob and I have talked about it a ton. Even up until Rogue One, when director Krennic is on Mustafar and Vader shows up, and he almost like has that swallow where he's like, like he knows that like it's Vader, and you don't even have to show Darth Vader. You just have them play his breathing, and people freak out.
Yeah, it's iconic.
I mean, exactly. He is the most iconic character, the most iconic villain. The fact that we were able to see his rise and fall, and then pretty much his resurrection, and then, that was it. But just always one of my favorite characters. Loved his look. I can never not get enough of Darth Vader. I'm going to tell you guys that. I could see Darth Vader in every show and be happy. And he's just, the way George Lucas created this character was amazing. So he's my number one.
All right.
Well, that's fair.
Yes.
Allow it.
Yeah. Derek, yours were definitely random. I'll tell you that. You were definitely.
But does that surprise you, Josh?
Yeah, I'm always saying random stuff here. You know that.
I know. What, Bob?
I was saying, does that surprise you?
No. Now that
you probably like Bob. Okay, Bob guessed Vito Corleone. That wasn't that shocking.
No,
that one I figured just simply because you've talked about The Godfather quite a bit.
So, yeah. So then there was that. And I feel about The Big Lebowski. That's not that random.
Russell's character kind of surprised me.
That one I could see you getting surprised with.
I knew you'd for you, Josh. I knew you'd have at least 2 Star Wars characters on there.
Yeah, and I knew. It's funny when you sent us the thing last night. I knew you'd have a couple of those. Were a couple of yours.
Well, to be honest, the only reason I picked those is because when I was looking up ideas for the thumbnail, the Chat GPT said use some characters like this, and it named them. So I was just like, you know what, I'll just use those. Those were ones that were named in the AI. I didn't choose them because they were on my list. I chose them because the AI said use these characters. I was like, all right, so I'll use them.
I'm actually surprised, Bobo, you didn't do Terminator.
Terminator would probably be my top 10.
Yeah, mine too.
I mean, if you really want to get me going, I could really go all over the place. Maximus from like Russell Crowe.
Oh yeah,
like
Maverick.
Mavericks. There's that.
That was
Wednesday Addams.
Yeah,
who's hilarious. Inspector Clouseau. I think you guys did we play a?
I thought about him. That's another
great
one
movie character. There's a lot of them. I mean, Riggs and Murtaugh from the Lethal Weapon series.
Inigo Montoya.
You know who I almost picked? You know who I just thought of instead of Jay Jonah? Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah,
that's an actor, not a character.
Frank Drebin. I thought about doing that. So there's a lot, but very, very good show. All right. Anything else, gentlemen, before we wrap this up?
I think that's it.
I think that's enough fun.
All right. Bob, besides seeing you at the movies, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Was It Good at Bob Loves Movies. Hoping to get a review out this week because there's not a whole lot coming out in the theater, but there's a movie coming out on Netflix that I might check out. So we'll see. And then you can find me on X and Criticless.
Okay, very cool. Derek, besides seeing you, at the drive-in movies, since you always say you're old, where can we find you?
You could have done better than that, Josh.
I thought it was good.
No, it wasn't.
You could have done better. It was not good.
Yeah.
No, you and jokes. Enough. What you should have said was, as I'm about to have a birthday watching these NBA playoffs keep going like this, that's how I'm going to be old. And that's how I'm going to stay old, where you can find me with LinkedIn and Facebook, folks. Thank you very much.
Nice. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. All right, gentlemen, a very good night, and we will catch you next week.
All right.
Have a good one.
Good night.